Now, ladies and gentlemen, set to make his way to the cage, presenting John MCFADYEN.
John MCFADYEN from the Revolution Gym, 25 years of age, 4 wins, only 1 loss on his record. Very well-rounded competitor. Said on this camp he's really been working on the boxing. Took an MMA class at age 19 when they were doing Fight for Peace. Was hooked ever since, and here he is now, Chris.
You bet, you bet. Hanging out with Joanny Scott, Kingsley Crawford, all those guys under the tutelage of Steve O'Keefe. I think it's been a real blessing. He's been on Rise of Champions twice, won both times. He's riding a 3-fight win streak. John MCFADYEN is a guy at a young age who really has a bright future in the sport. I love his frame. I love his approach for the weight class. And I'm really excited to see him back here in London tonight. In his own words, he said, look, I know I'm up against a really good wrestler, but I want to test myself, and I want to go out there and show on this platform my ever-improving skill set.
And he also mentioned, Chris, that you mentioned them yourself with Steve O'Keefe and the crew. He said it gives him such confidence to be training, sparring, and just working with those guys.
For sure. I mean, Daniel Crawford as well. We got to mention him. A guy we know very well, and a guy who just has an amazing level of skills to show and share with these amateurs. So delighted to have John back again. He's riding a unanimous decision as well as 2 submission finish win streaks. So watch out for the ground game. 3 career submissions overall. 2 in the last 3-fight win streak. Watch out. He's in the ring, John MCFADYEN.
And now, set to make his way to the cage, presenting George TANASA.
So, George, the son of Dracula TANASA, 23 years of age from BKK, comes to the bout with a wrestling background. 2 wins, only 1 loss on his record as well. And again, what I like about the competitors here, there's no trash talk. We've talked to them before, we've read profiles, interviews, and they both respect each other. He knows, just like his opponent, John, that it's going to be a tough bout. They respect each other.
He's never gone the distance, started competing in November 2017, so he's been very, very active, and I like that as well. Early in your career, you get the training, you get the base, you get the weight cut, you find where you're comfortable, and you get out there and you find a rhythm. So for me, he's back for the 4th time in under 12 months, looking to make it a 2-fight win streak.
It's a tough call, though, this time, Chris.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what? He said in his own words, I'm 1 step closer to where I want to be. So these are both 2 determined, very focused guys who have blocked everything out. They said, I'm not interested in fame or the show or the limelight or the trash talk. I'm interested in the result. And for me, again, quality matchmaking through and through. And who's got a better nickname than that?
From the Brentwood Center, Brentwood, here in Essex, Rise of Champions, brought to you by the Muff Liquor Company and Black's Burgers, is set inside the cage for 3 3-minute rounds of amateur action in the featherweight division. Now we introduce first the blue corner. He stands about 5 feet 11 inches tall and weighed in officially at 145 pounds even, holding an amateur record, 4 wins against a single defeat. He fights out of Revolution MMA, presenting John MCFADYEN. And across the cage, standing 5 feet 7 inches tall, he weighed in officially at 146.3 pounds. As an amateur, he stands 2-1, fighting out of BKK Fighters, presenting George TANASA. When the action begins, your referee in charge, Mr. Daniel Mulvahedi.
We have had a superb preliminary card here tonight at Rise of Champions 6. And I've got a feeling this one's going to continue the tradition, Chris. And again, we mentioned the matchmaking, and without going on about it, it's because the matchmaking has shown up so many potential differences and stylistic matches that just make for great fights.
And John MCFADYEN, I think, is going to want to probably pursue the submission. TANASA, you can see, has got great leg kicks. He's no slouch on the ground, but he may look to try to sort of keep things in the upright. Interesting bit of facts about both guys. TANASA looking to wear a Dracula cape if he wins in the cage, and McFadyen wants to celebrate with a long walk on the beach, he said.
Not at night, I hope, if TANASA's still feeling sore from losing when you've got the son of Dracula out there in the clouds. But the other the noticeable thing here is 5'11" against 5'7", so that you can see that John has the distinct height advantage. It's how you utilize that.
Yeah, I like the hand trapping and the fighting. Nice kick, though. That's that open stance. You see that southpaw versus orthodox, the body kick, the rear tools open up. And for me, TANASA's doing the right thing, fighting for outside foot position. So too does McFadyen try to respond, which will, of course, take the blow off that rear kick to the body.
The counter to that rear kick to the body is the big right hand to the face. You can see the marks on the rib cage of John McFadyen from those kicks.
Nice probing jab, and then the cross comes in. It's those rear tools. You can line up the backhand or the rear kick, and that's one of the kind of key things to watch out for in an open stance match. And the reason I say open stance is you've got the two different dominant foots. Now, I can't say for certain whether that's the natural way these guys fight, or maybe it's just been a decision on one of their parts, because it can be advantageous if you're a switch hitter to sometimes stand southpaw against an orthodox guy.
And as you rightly said, Chris, the key to that is foot placement. It's absolutely vital for when you're throwing your shots, either to gain the advantage or make sure that you're protected as well. And whoever wins that battle can end up winning the bout here. And as I said, the damage to the rib cage of McFadyen is clear to see. And I like the way TANASA is approaching this at the moment. He's cutting that range down, yet still staying safe against a noticeably taller man. Just like this, get inside, work hard, and he's caught him there, Chris.
Nice left again. TANASA sometimes circles to his left, but then he kind of shifts it up and then goes right. So he keeps going one way, just like this, and then he goes to the right, and that's when that rear hand or that kick is going to come in. It's a sudden kind of change of direction and change of rhythm, if you will.
I think it's intentional because he'll know that that's technically, his coach will be saying that's the wrong way to go. But as you said, just when he's going that way, he suddenly stops, switches, and throws the shot. And it's working to throw his opponent off. That's the first time he's got caught cleanly.
Nice counter punch there from McFadyen. Right again. It's been a disciplined guard so far for John McFadyen. He's kind of kept his hands up and he's not been phased or flustered by some of the connections from the son of Dracula. I had to say it.
Yeah, that was a good finish from McFadyen because I think TANASA, what he did well was take away the long-limbed advantage of McFadyen, and that most of that round was fought at the range he felt comfortable. It was a different fight altogether when McFadyen just stepped in with him and started to throw his own shots. I'd like to see him open up more again in the second round. Round 2 or 3 coming up, and it was an excellent opening round, and I'd just like to see now how McFadyen will capitalize on that finish or not, Chris.
So George TANASA in the red corner, McFadyen in the blue. John McFadyen looking to try to get the stand-up going. I think his coach wants him to throw the hands with a little bit more convincing fashion, commit to those straight punches, and make TANASA respect that power and that reach, which should hopefully shut down and negate some of the effects of those kicks. I think for TANASA, it's more of the same. Stick and move, keep changing up the footwork, and load up for those leg kicks and body kicks.
Yes, you can see the effect of the body kicks on the arm and the ribs of McFadyen. But when you mentioned about respect, McFadyen's got to make TANASA respect that right hand and start thinking about not moving that way. As you said, he moves with disdain almost to the right, and he's got to stop that. And that's the way he does it, is to throw that big right hand accurately.
Nice probing jab here from John.
Well, this
two lands again.
He's made him respect it now, Chris. As you pointed out earlier, what he's done is he can't just liberally now move towards that right hand and throw his own work from TANASA, because McFadyen, there again, he's starting to throw that with more accuracy, more venom, and more regularity. And he's come back strongly in this second round as well.
Nice switch kick there from TANASA. Dana Movahidi stepping in. Looks to be a... was it a positioning of the kick? Was it a skimming low blow? I looked away from the monitor for a second.
Yes, he's going to warn TANASA just to say, be careful. I don't think it was. As you said, it was more of a skimming, more of a touch. You can see McFadyen not making any fuss about it at all.
Good defense there. He kind of shuttled the kick to the side and then looked to throw the hands. He's going to have to counter off those lazy single kicks. TANASA is pretty quick, but there the right cross lands again. I like the fact that John is a little bit more in or out. He's less predictable.
Picking up on that, I think it's because he's finally figuring George TANASA out. He's finally got to terms with it. And when he comes forward himself, turning defense into offense, he's a much more dangerous proposition.
Good solid boxing here from John. And sometimes he's leading with that cross, which actually isn't a bad idea, especially if there's a low kick coming in and he can step into it. Just like that. He was anticipating the kick. It didn't come, but...
Well, what he's doing there, as you said, when he anticipates, he knows that the forward momentum from TANASA, if he did throw the kick, would double the impact of his own right. And just this time, when we talk about adapting, TANASA realizes, well, just at the right moment.
Wild technique there from TANASA, flying into that rear hand, but that's kind of a sign that you frustrated a guy, that what you're doing is starting to work, and all of a sudden he tries to go for something wild, something low percentage. Again, right lands there for MCFADYEN. Oh, huge left hand. That was the response TANASA was looking for.
Chris, as you said, it was all the right stuff from MCFADYEN, but TANASA came back so strongly with, as you said, that single shot and then looked to capitalize. That was a good second round, I thought, for the blue corner, but that big, solid shot at the end brings that on its head again, because TANASA, for me, dominated most of the opening round until, as we said, John seemed to come to terms with it in about the last 30 seconds, and I think was probably edging the second round, as you said, figuring his opponent out, knowing when to throw that right, and then got caught with that big shot.
Third and final round here in London, Rise of Champions 6. Dan Abovigidi in charge. Chris Hoekstra alongside Malcolm Martin on the mic. Great to have you folks with us. Final 3 minutes between TANASA and MCFADYEN.
And did you notice, Chris, immediately the movement from TANASA back around the opposite way now, immediately towards he's earned, you mentioned it in the second, and he has now earned the respect because TANASA no longer circles towards that right. He's constantly circling outside the left hand of MCFADYEN now because, as you rightly said, the second round he found the range, he found the timing.
Solid left kick again. TANASA's got to keep putting in work. Every single time he kicks, that's just like an investment in the fight. It's money in the bank. That will pay off. It will pay dividends. The problem is, though, is that John has started to wise up and certainly showed a lot of really intelligent use in the boxing in the second. But there was a very significant strike by TANASA at the end, and the judges are going to score that. That was the most fight-ending potential, if you will, that we saw in the fight. And it came courtesy of TANASA's left.
And also picking up on your comments about the throwing the kicks and the money in the bank. Have you noticed that now he throws it more when he steps outside that left leg of MCFADYEN to throw his own left leg? So he's actually thinking now, and he does it again there. You throw it when you're in that position to negate that right hand and also land the kick solidly and cleanly and safely. And it's little tactical changes from both men that I found this bout so intriguing. Because TANASA's powerful.
Left again there from TANASA. John's in trouble, Malcolm. He's backing off. Throws a check hook from the hip. TANASA's got to be very careful, though, because John is still dangerous. And that's the beautiful thing about the MMA game. You go after a guy, and then you change it up. You shift gears just when he's least expecting it. Popping jab there. John looks threatening off his back, though. He's got a great jiu-jitsu pedigree.
It's been an excellent bout, and the pace has been superb. I mean, they've really gone for it for 3 rounds. And as I said, just when one's figured the other out, they come back again, and they've both landed dangerously. You feel the power is with TANASA. He's shorter, he's stockier, but he negates his own strengths. When he comes in close like that, he doubles up the power of John McFadyen's response. And a nice little, we called it in the old kickboxing days, the mule kick. Benny the Jet was superb at that, kicking back like a mule in a stall, and that almost landed cleanly.
I love both of those references. If you don't know Benny the Jet or the mule kick, you need to get on YouTube. Benny Urquidez?
Benny the Jet Urquidez, yeah. Incredible kickboxer, and that was, he could throw that from anywhere. and it's just like a mule kicking backwards in the stall. He would throw it, he would jump and throw it. And when you had someone pressed against the ropes, which would now be the cage, it doubled the impact. But this has been a good finish to the last 10 seconds, and both men still here. That was an intriguing contest, Chris. That was really, really good to watch because both men made subtle adjustments continually.
And they worked the whole time. I mean, TANASA's exhausted here. Both guys really put a lot of high output. They threw punches, threw kicks, used footwork. I was really impressed with the adjustments that John made, particularly with it defending against those kicks by coming forward with the hands. And it was just a slight change of the way that he was engaging in those striking flurries, the back and forth trades, if you will. And TANASA was also very strategic as well. A beautiful fight from two guys who look very promising in the ring tonight at Rise of Champions.
Ladies and gentlemen, inside the cage, this bout goes the distance, 3 rounds. And we go to your judges' decision. 2 judges scored about 29-27. Our final judge, 30-27, declaring your winner by unanimous decision in the red corner, George TANASA.